Hey everybody, Zee Garcia here, and welcome back to Unsung Gems. This is a series of videos in which I pick a few games, a few per letter, and I tell you why I think they don't get enough recognition, why these games should not be looked over. They are interesting games, maybe a little unpolished, but they deserve love all the same. And today I'm covering the letter J. I've got 4 picks for you today, so without further ado, let's go ahead and kick it off. My first pick today is actually my favorite of the bunch. This is a 2-player game called Jolly and Roger. And it is an I Split, You Choose card game in which one of the players, on their turn, will draw 5 cards. They will split those into 2 piles, however they want to. Each pile has to have something in it. And then the other player will take one of those 2, and they will use those cards either to bank them and just get straight up points from those, or place them to locations to these pirate ships on the table and try to control that ship at the end, the ship itself being worth some victory points. And that's basically it. Then the other player will do it. They'll draw some cards, split them into piles, you'll take. It's a really fun tug-of-war style game. It is, it has that fun, main decision of, do I fight for this thing worth quite a few gold coins, or do I just bank this card and get exactly what it says on the card and forget this fight? If I'm winning, of course, I could do that, but then I'm giving my opponent the chance to catch up to me somewhere on the next split. Where you put the cards starts to get infinitely more interesting as you start to fight over these things, right? I really don't want my opponent to, wrest control of this thing away from me. So I'm going to make that pile of the 2 offers I make them. The card that could do that is going to be a pretty weak offering. If they want that pile, that's basically all they're going to do. And I get all these other cards. Very fun, very interesting, lovely, cartoony pirate artwork. I really enjoy this one. This is a 2-player game that's in my collection. I don't see it leaving my collection anytime soon. That is Jolly and Roger. Next up, I'm talking about a game called Jaraku, and this is an area control game played over 3 ages, or 3 rounds, 3 years, whatever it is. But it's also a trick-taking card game in which you are going to play cards, players follow suit if they can, all of that usual stuff. But as you play a card, you are allowed to introduce new armies, put out some samurai on the board, and split up into different sections, or possibly move those characters around on the board. So that once all the cards in our hands have run out, we will then score these locations, and you're trying to get victory points, of course. One really neat aspect of the game is that each round, the areas score differently. So for example, there's an area off to one side of the board, which at the beginning of the game, literally during the first round of the game, it is worthless to first, second, and third place. Absolutely worthless. And worth some points during the second stage, and worth quite a few points during the third. And then across the board from that, you've got the opposite, an area that is fantastic and peters out and just sort of, dwindles to worthlessness. And so you've got this sort of migration that happens on the board as players fight with one another, as you decide how much can I push it? Do I settle over here and take second place? What cards can I play? How can I maneuver this to fit me, to allow me to control the flow of the game and what's going on? It's a very neat game. It's a small package. It's a game that feels like it's got some really interesting tactics and does a lot with very little. It's just a 21-card deck of cards and a little board and some wooden cubes. That's basically it. But it's interesting. It's engaging. And if you are a fan of trick-taking games that do something distinct, this is a good one. So, Jaraku. Next up, we're talking about Jupiter Rescue. This is a cooperative game in which the players are all these little robots trying to rescue people from a space station. And you are going to be moving around on the board, shooting these little alien bad guys, and moving folks around the board so that they get onto this, spaceship or rescue pod or what have you. And that launches, they get rescued, the pod comes back, and you keep loading people on there. But of course, the bad guys are moving around the board, and you have to make sure that they don't eliminate the very people you are trying to save. It's got some really neat ideas. One I particularly like is that there's a deck of action cards, But at the beginning of the game, and those are all one-use action cards. At the beginning of the game, you're going to draw a few, and you're going to play one down on the table, put your colored token on it, and that's an ability you have for the rest of the game. So it's not a one-off ability. You can do it every time you're up, right? I think that's really neat. It's a cool way to make different characters, but it's all not predetermined. It's driven by what you do in the game. You choose what your, infinite power is in the game. So very neat. It's not much of a looker. This game is not attractive, right? It's not a pretty game. And to be fair, there have been many, many, many cooperative games since Jupiter Rescue came out. But I still think it's an engaging little game. It's got some good decisions in it. It's tense. It's a very easy one to understand and get into. So I think it might be a fairly solid introductory style cooperative game. A lot of cooperative games are, these big, complex machines, puzzles that you're trying to solve. This one has a puzzly feel, but it's a lot simpler, it's a lot smaller, it's much easier to internalize and understand, and then just pushing levers and all that. So there you go. Cool little game, Jupiter Rescue. And my final pick for today is a small 2-player game called Jurassic Snack. And this is from my favorite designer, Bruno Catala. It is sort of a very kid-friendly game. You could even say it is kind of a kid's game. In it, you have these adorable little dinosaurs, 3D plastic dinosaurs. They are the cutest things. And you are going to be moving on the board that you've, sort of laid out at the beginning of the game and put all these face-down grass tokens on it. You'll be moving one of your dinos and eating some of the grass at your dino's feet. You'll take that token, you'll look at it. It might be worth some victory points. It might be a special ability. It might even be a little T-Rex that pops up, eats your dino, and then on your turn from that point on, while the T-Rex is on the board, you can move the T-Rex instead of moving one of your own characters. Try to eliminate your opponents. Game's over if someone's dinos are all gone, or when all the tokens, all the grass has been eaten, and then you see who's got the highest score. It's a very simple little game. It's a quick little 15-minute game, but the table presence, the appeal of the whole thing is fantastic. It is cute. It is goofy a little bit. It's just a neat little game. And there is actually a follow-up called Jurassic Brunch, standalone game, different dinos, but you could combine them, or you could even play a team of 2 versus a team of 2. I recommend either one, Jurassic Snack, Jurassic Brunch. They're both very good. And again, if you're looking for something that you can play like an adult and a kid at the same time, luck is certainly a part, so it shouldn't be an out-and-out destruction of the younger player or the more inexperienced player. Then this is a good one for that kind of setting. So there you go, Jurassic Snack. And that's it, everybody. As always, let me know in the comments below if you've got some good games that you feel are underloved that begin with the letter J. But that's gonna do it. Thanks very much for watching the video. My name is Zee Garcia. I'll see you on the next one.